Okay, let's test some new makeup. I'm excited because some of these products have gone viral. I do love trying out viral makeup to see what all the hype is about, if they're actually worth the hype or not. And then I have a couple of products that I've wanted to try for a little while that have gotten really good reviews. I've either gotten recommendations to try them in the comments of my videos, or I've just read good reviews online. So I'm excited to put them to the test and see how they perform. I do want to say thank you to Kohl's for sponsoring today's video. Kohl's has so many products in all different categories, including clothing, home decor, and of course, beauty. Sephora at Kohl's is my go-to. I've told you before, but we don't actually have a Sephora store in the town where I live. The closest one is like an hour and a half away. So I love that Sephora is available at Kohl's because I go in there a lot. I think I was there like 3 times this week, including this morning. I did an online order that I could pick up in store, and I grabbed one more thing for today's video. But the displays are always so beautiful, really well stocked. They always have a ton of new launches, and it's really convenient because I can just run to Kohl's when I want to repurchase some of my go-to products. So everything that I'm using in today's video can be found at Kohl's, and you can also find these products online at kohls.com. I'll make sure to link everything that I use in the description box below and include the shade name, the price, so open up my description if you want more info. Also, right now, Sephora at Kohl's is offering different daily deals, so you can get 50% off select products every single day through April 2nd, and there have been a ton of fun launches, so definitely check that out as well. Okay, the first thing I want to try out is the new Lip Oil Lip Gloss Hybrid. That's exactly how they describe it, which makes me excited because I haven't been as into like the typical lip oil these days. I usually like something that leans a little bit more in the glossy direction. This is from Too Faced. It's their Kissing Jelly Gloss, and I have the shade Raspberry. Okay, this does smell good. It definitely has a raspberry scent. I would say it's maybe a little less tinted than I originally thought it was going to be, but it does feel very smooth on the lips. It's very lightweight, not sticky at all. I don't anticipate that it's going to last for a long time on the lips because I would say it is kind of like a good mix between a lip oil and a lip gloss. So it feels nice. I do think it is going to be moisturizing, but we'll see once it wears off. I'll give you some more thoughts on it. I do have a new primer to try out. I've seen a few videos of this on TikTok. It's from the brand One Size. It is the Secure the Glow Tacky Hydrating Primer. That sounds like my ideal type of primer. So this is supposed to give you all day hydration, but also all day wear as well, which is the type of primer that I do typically love. I love something that feels really good on the skin, that gives me a little bit of a glow, but also extends the wear of my makeup. I've heard people describe this as like a boba primer. It looks really interesting, so let's apply it to the skin. Okay, so it definitely has a little bit of like a cool texture. Oh, it's very, very thin. It definitely feels nice on the skin. It doesn't feel tacky yet, but we'll see as it kind of dries down and as I work it into the skin. It almost feels like a nice hydrating serum. Sometimes with these primers that claim to be hydrating and long wearing, they can be on the thicker side, and I don't always want like a super thick, sticky or tacky primer, because even if it locks my makeup into place, sometimes it just feels a little bit heavy on the skin. This one almost feels like I'm applying, like I said, a serum or even like a water to the skin. We'll see how the products wear throughout the day, how they apply on top of this. I do have this product as well, which I debated using as a primer. It's the Glow Recipe Watermelon Glow Niacinamide Hue Drops. So I have the original one, and I've actually been using this a good amount lately. I'll either use it as a primer or I'll mix it into my base or complexion products just to add like a nice glow, because a lot of the base products I have lean more matte. So sometimes something like this is nice to mix in because it really balances it out. So I think that's what I'm going to do today, because that has been like my go-to method. And the difference between this one and the original is that this one is tinted. So here's what they look like on the back of my hand. This is the original. So the original dewdrops don't have any sort of tint to them. They just leave your skin looking glowy and smooth and feeling hydrated. And then this is the tinted version. Now, sometimes with tinted products, they can be a little bit much, but based on what I've seen online, like these look really natural. So for my foundation, or I guess my complexion products, I think I'm going to mix 2 products together. I'm mainly going to be using the Fenty Eaze Drop Blurring Skin Tint. I wear the shade 3. This is a really beautiful, lightweight product, but just to add like a touch of extra coverage, I'm going to mix in a little bit of the Pro Filt'r Soft Matte Longwear Foundation from Fenty as well. We're going full Fenty for the base because I'm trying out the Fenty concealer today too. So I have the shade 150, which is actually actually a little bit light for me, but I think it will actually work out perfectly because I am mixing in the bronzer drops too. So we're going for a little bit of like a foundation concoction today. So I have the Eaze drops on the back of my hand, a little bit of the foundation. My skin has been breaking out just a little bit, so I feel like I could go for a slightly more full glam look. And then just like a tiny, let's add a little bit more of the bronzer drops. And then I'm just going to mix it all together. Okay, and let's just apply it to the skin. And because both of these Fenty products do have more of like a true matte finish, I feel like mixing in this Glow Recipe product will be perfect to balance it out. So everything's applying really nicely on top of that primer. It definitely dried down and it doesn't really even feel like I'm wearing anything on my skin. So it is super lightweight. I like this mix of products. The Eaze drops are very nice and lightweight. The Fenty foundation used to be my go-to for like everyday wear, but I don't tend to wear a ton of full coverage foundations for day to day these days. But sometimes it's nice to mix in like a tiny little bit just to kind of perfect everything, extend the wear of everything. Just going to add a little bit more around the cheeks. I definitely think the Hue drops made a nice subtle difference, which is what they're meant to do. They're not going to like completely give you like a super bronzed glowing goddess look. I mean, maybe if you're just wearing them and you're not wearing like a lot of makeup with them, they will be obviously a little bit more intense, but I don't tend to wear that product like that. I usually mix it in or wear it under makeup. So I like that it does give a little bit of a glow. I feel like it's a nice added boost compared to the original. So before I go in with concealer, I am going to apply cream bronzer. I've been doing concealer after bronzer because I feel like then I can clean up the edges, tone down the bronzer really easily, and just get a little bit more of a seamless look. So for bronzer, I'm just using a staple, the Makeup by Mario. I always forget the exact name, SoftSculpt Shaping Stick, and I have the shade Light. So I'm going to apply this directly to the brush and then blend it onto my skin. The nice part about doing bronzer before concealer is I feel like I don't have to be as careful. Like usually I'll just throw it on and sometimes be a little bit more heavy-handed because I don't know about you, but I feel like when I'm wearing cream bronzer, I like to go a little bit heavier because after I apply the rest of my products like powder, blush, everything, sometimes the bronzer doesn't show up as much as I like. So I'll usually just layer this on and then go in and clean it up with the concealer. I love this Makeup by Mario formula because it is very long wearing. Like it does not move all day long. I guess I am going for a little bit more of a long wearing look today just because I do want to test out a few of these products to see how long they can last. And I feel like the best way to do that is by pairing them with other long wearing products. I feel like that's coming off a little bit orangey on camera. Do you have any recommendations for like a cooler cream bronzer or contour? It doesn't really matter. I feel like a lot of my cream bronzers are really warm toned and I feel like I could use something slightly cooler or even more neutral looking. Okay, I'm excited to try this out. At first I wasn't going to buy it, but I feel like I've heard so many good things about it. It is the Fenty We're Even Hydrating Longwear Concealer. I went with the shade 175W, which probably isn't what I would have initially picked up, but I watched a couple of reviews on this and I think a lot of people were saying it runs lighter than they thought it would. So I feel like that's good to know, and I actually do think this shade will match. Honestly, I don't know. I used to wear the shade 150 in the foundation, but now it's way too light. So I'm wondering if like I always just wore it a little bit too light, if it ever matched, or if I really was, if my skin tone was lighter when I was really loving that every day. Because I feel like I could probably use a new shade in the foundation as well. So the claims on this concealer, it's supposed to be hydrating and long wearing and give you a nice natural second skin finish. I do have a lot of concealers I love right now, but I've come to appreciate a really high quality concealer formula that almost just like melts into the skin in a very natural way, but also wears well throughout the day. It's definitely blending out really easily, very seamless. Fenty used to have a concealer. Or no, do they still have it? The Pro Filt'r Soft Matte Concealer. I tried that years and years ago, and when I initially tried it, I thought it was just like a little bit too drying for my skin. So I was excited when they launched a hydrating version. I feel like this has probably been a long time coming. I definitely wouldn't call it a full coverage concealer. I wouldn't say it's quite as hydrating as a few of the other formulas I'm loving, like Tower 28, Natasha Denona, but I would say it does look a little bit more natural on the skin. Like it does have a nice second skin finish, like it claims. and it doesn't feel heavy by any means. But I would say if you have extremely dry skin, this one might be, you might find this one to be a little bit drying. But again, this is just my first time using it, so I'll update you in a few weeks once I try it out more. And then I'm just going to go over the edges of everything with my foundation brush so it looks a little bit more seamless. I think the concealer looks nice. I'm curious to know how it's going to wear throughout the day. It is actually, it's really not creasing on me at all yet, which that is a pretty rare occurrence. Usually concealer, no matter what it is, does crease on me fairly quickly because I do have wrinkles under my eyes. I'm just setting my under eyes into place with the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish Powder, which I actually just repurchased. Or I repurchased this probably like 2 months ago, but I just opened it because I finished up my other one. This gives the under eyes a nice smooth finish. And then usually I just set my T-zone as well. So my nose right here, the chin, and then like the center of my forehead too. This powder really is beautiful. It gives your skin such a gorgeous blur, and I do find it to be very long wearing. I tried this years ago, and then I kind of switched to some other options, and I'm back to using it again because I think it looks so flawless, honestly. Like that's part of the name, but it truly does give you like that smooth finish. And then I'm just switching to a fluffy brush to lightly set the rest of my face. Okay, I'm going to do my brows off camera just to save a little bit of time, and then we're going to use a new palette that I'm excited to try. Okay, so brows are done. I also added just a touch of powder bronzer to set the cream into place. So let's move on to the eyes. So for the eyes, Too Faced actually launched some new eyeshadow palettes. These are the Born This Way mini eyeshadow palettes. So there is a warmer one called Warm Ember Nudes. I'll show you what it looks like just for reference. I'm not sure which one I'm going to use today. And then the cooler one is called Cold Smolder Nudes. I feel like the cooler toned one might end up being a little bit more popular just because people are into cool tones right now. So I am such a fan of the original Born This Way Natural Nudes palette. I know it is a little bit more of a basic palette, but the formula is so good. The matte shadows are very light, super creamy, so you can do something really soft and natural, but the shimmers in here are so stunning. They're a little bit thicker, so I feel like on the eyes, they look incredibly smooth. They have this gorgeous metallic finish to them, and it just makes it look like you did something a little bit more interesting than you actually did. And I love how they just kind of coordinate like the shimmer and the matte, so it's really easy to do like a 2 eyeshadow look. Anyway, I use this palette a lot. This is actually my second one. Whenever I'm wearing this, I always get questions. So I just wanted to show you what these palettes look like next to this one. So the warmer one, I mean, neither one of them have like, neither one of them technically repeat shades, but I would say the warmer one comes the closest. Like a lot of the shades in here are very similar to what you can find in this palette. But the cooler one does look quite a bit different. Like this palette leans more warm toned overall. So if you like this formula, but you enjoy a cooler toned look, I feel like the cooler one might appeal to you. Should I use the cooler one today? I feel like I should, just because this one's a little bit different. So let's start with the lightest cool toned matte in here. And ooh, it's a little bit powdery, but I'm just going to blend this right into the crease. Again, the mattes in here, or I guess I should say the mattes in the original palette, are definitely softer. It is like a very natural but slightly buildable formula. So I do think it is really beginner friendly, or if you're someone who kind of has trouble blending matte shadows, the original palette, and it seems like these as well, could be a really good option for you. So you can see it's just a very subtle color, but I feel like it gives a nice smooth effect to the eyes. And I like the tone of this shadow a lot. So I'll do the other eye off camera just to save some time. Okay, next I'm going to take the middle matte shadow just on the same brush, but I'm going to focus this a little bit lower, more so in the crease, just to add like a slight amount of definition. This is a really pretty tone too. I do like cooler tones. I mean, I would say overall, I kind of gravitate more toward warm tones. And these days, I'll usually just throw like a bronzer in the crease, a highlighter on the lid. But there's something so nice about cool tones. So I love that they are kind of trending right now because I feel like all of you cool toned eyeshadow lovers have not had as many options over the last few years. I think I am going to take a little bit of the deepest brown in here in the outer corner just to kind of use as many shades as possible. I'm not going to build it up too much. And honestly, I'm probably not going to worry about blending it too much because I'm going to go all over the lid with one of the shimmers. And I love the shimmer formulas in this palette. Again, I keep saying like in this palette, this is the first time I'm using it, but the formula does seem pretty much identical to the original Natural Nudes, but maybe even slightly better. Like these mattes are so creamy, they're blending out really easily. For the lid, I'm going to go in with this shadow with maybe like a touch of the lightest one on top. Honestly, this palette is performing so well. I knew I was going to like it, but I didn't expect to really be blown away by it. But I feel like these cooler tones are so gorgeous. And then I'm just going to take that lightest shimmer, which is kind of like a topper coat, and add that right on top. Wow, this is a gorgeous shadow. I love how this turned out. I'm so happy with this. Okay, let me finish the other eye and then I'll be right back. Okay, I'm just going to clean up this eye look just a little bit. If I knew I was doing a little bit more of a full glam look, I probably would have done the eyes first because I tend to go a little bit overboard with blending, but that's fine. So I'm just going to apply a little bit of concealer right here, and then on the outer edges too, just to kind of sharpen things up. There is a little bit of glitter fallout on the face, but it's not too bad. Okay, and then because there isn't like a light matte shadow, I'm just going to take the one from the Too Faced Natural Nudes palette and just use that to kind of smooth over my brow bone. But wow, overall, I really love the way this look came together. Really pretty shadows. And then I'm just taking this center brown shadow right here on the lower lash line just to tie things together. I do have a new eyeliner. It's not a new launch. It's just something I haven't tried before. The Point Made Waterproof Liquid Eyeliner Pen from the brand One Size. So like I said, I feel like they're well known, or I think I said this in the beginning, I feel like they're well known for long lasting products. So I hope that's the case with this eyeliner too. When I was asking you, I think a few months ago, what your favorite eyeliners are, some of you recommended this one. Okay, this eyeliner actually went on really nicely. It is rich and pigmented, and I have a feeling that it is pretty long wearing. I'm out of practice with eyeliner. I don't wear it as much anymore, so I feel like my wings are a little bit uneven, and I tried to go in and correct the one, but that eyeliner did not want to move, which is a really good sign because I think it will stay in place all day long. Okay, one more product from the brand One Size. This is their Fantasize mascara. So this is supposed to be, where's the box? It's supposed to be the ultimate lifting and lengthening mascara, which is kind of what I'm going for these days. I used to be a big fan of really voluminous mascaras, but now, I don't know. I kind of like a curled, lifted look with length and a little bit of volume. Okay, I already know that I'm liking this one. I do feel like it is separating the lashes well, but there's still a little bit of volume. And I also feel like it is lifting them too. You know how some mascaras just kind of make it look like you have more lashes than you do? And some mascaras make it look like you have less lashes than you do, like it clumps all of your lashes together. This one does not do that. Like it is making it look like I have a lot of lashes. So let me work on building this up a little bit and see how it layers because I am really enjoying this so far. Okay, so here's what about 2 coats of the mascara looks like. I'm impressed by this. I definitely see a lot of lift, a lot of length, and good separation and good volume. Like it's just kind of a good all around staple formula. I honestly think I could build this up to look a little bit more dramatic. So I might try to go in with one more coat just because I do have a little bit more of a dramatic eye look on today. But wow, I am impressed by this. So I definitely understand the good reviews surrounding this mascara. You know what? I tend to be so messy when I apply mascara, but I don't even think I got that on my eyeshadow at all, which is kind of shocking. It's like the perfect consistency already. Like sometimes I feel like I'm just going to apply a little bit more of that lightest shimmer shadow. Sometimes I feel like I need to wait for a mascara to dry out to be like its perfect consistency. But this one, I wouldn't say it's a dry formula. It's just not quite as wet as other formulas I've tried that do tend to be a little bit more messy. I have a new blush to apply. This is from Patrick Ta. So I talked about this in a recent video. It's the Double Take Cream and Powder Blush in the shade Not Too Much. So this has been sold out on Sephora's website, but it is in stock on the Kohl's website. But I actually got this one in person. It's the product that I picked up this morning. I did an online order and then I chose to pick it up in store because I wanted to try it out in today's video. This is really, really beautiful. I feel like this will be my perfect go-to spring blush. So I'm going to go in with the powder first. I feel like my bronzer is just, ooh, I think I applied a little bit too much. I feel like my bronzer is too warm today. You know what? This is actually a little bit more pigmented than I thought it was going to be. It looks very light in the pan, and it is lighter compared to some of the other Patrick Ta blushes I have, but I really loaded it on that brush thinking it was going to be so subtle. But I feel like that's good to know if you weren't sure if that shade was going to be a little bit too light for you. Whenever I apply too much blush, I just, again, go over the edges with my foundation brush without adding anything extra on, just to kind of diffuse the edges. But that is a pretty shade. I don't know that it really goes with my eye look. Sometimes with cooler toned eyeshadow looks, I have a hard time matching my cheek products because I don't have, I mean, I have some cool toned blushes, and then I'm just going to go over it with the cream. But I feel like a lot of my blushes, a lot of my favorite blushes are warmer. I love this formula so much. The cream honestly just brings it all together. It makes your skin look so smooth, so glowy and beautiful. Patrick Ta's cream formula is so easy to work with. If you're someone who's intimidated by creams or you feel like you can't layer creams on top of your makeup, try his formula because I have powders on. I have powder blush, I have a little bit of powder, I have a little bit of actual powder under that, and the cream just looks so flawless. Like even if your blush or bronzer is looking like a little bit patchy, if you take one of the creams from his blush duos and layer it on top, it just like pulls everything together. I feel like I have a lot of blush on today, but I'm just going to go with it. Again, I feel like maybe this duo would be a little bit more ideal with like a slightly warmer eyeshadow look, but it is so pretty. I feel like it's the perfect tone for my skin tone. So if we have similar skin tones, I think you might like this. And I also feel like you could build this up a little bit too. Okay, so for the lips, I was going to go with the Tower 28 LipSoftie, which I feel like will be a little bit too warm tone. Let's just try it. You know what? I'll go with the cooler lip liner and then throw this on top. So this is the Charlotte Tilbury lip liner in Iconic Nude. And then let me just apply the LipSoftie on top. So I have been using these. They are a newer launch, but I think they're so pretty. This one smells so good. Is that lip color too warm with this eye look? I feel like maybe a slightly cooler toned lip would have worked, but these LipSofties are so good. First of all, they smell amazing. They have a really pretty balmy texture, but a really gorgeous glossy finish, and they are really, really moisturizing. The only thing that I would change about these would be the applicator. I don't love the applicator personally. I feel like a little bit more of like a cushiony applicator or even something kind of pointed would be ideal because they do have like a good amount of pigment to them, but I feel like I can overlook it because they are really nice. I love the formula, the texture. There's a clear one I've been wearing a lot too, but I love like this caramely pinky nude. Okay, I think I am going to spot conceal this little red mark on my nose, and then I'll be right back. Okay, final step. I'm just taking the Rare Beauty highlighter in the shade Enlighten. Look at mine. It completely shattered, but you know what? The main way I use this is actually as an inner corner highlight. So I feel like even though there's like a tiny touch of this left, it is enough to achieve the result I want. Okay, so this is the final look. I really like how it came together. It's a little bit more full glam, but honestly, it has been months since I've done a full glam look, and I just enjoy it so much. You guys know that I love makeup. I love applying makeup. Life doesn't always lend itself to sitting down and doing a full glam look these days, but honestly, when I do, I just feel so good and it's so much fun. And I tried a lot of really good products today. I am so impressed by this eyeshadow palette. The quality is so good. And if you love cooler tones and honestly you just want to incorporate a formula that's very easy to work with, this is a great option. I love that it's just like smaller. It's more edited. You don't need a giant 12 or 16 pan palette to get enough shades to do multiple looks. I feel like you can definitely achieve that with this palette. I'll definitely try the warmer version soon and update you on that one, but this is going to be a staple for me. I love this blush duo so, so much. I feel like the formula really is flawless, which I expected because I do love Patrick Ta blushes, but the colors are gorgeous. The mascara is so good. It just applied beautifully. It builds really nicely too. So I'm excited to keep wearing this. And I tried some other really great products too. Again, I'll come back in a few weeks and update you on everything once I've had the chance to wear them a little bit more. But I'm excited. I feel like I've had such good luck with makeup lately. I've been trying out a lot of high quality products. Again, you can find all of these products at Kohl's.com or in Kohl's stores. I'll link everything in the description box below. below. Thanks again to Kohl's for sponsoring today's video. It was really fun to try out these products, and I will see you very soon with a new one. Bye.